Hi, I'm Dave, and welcome back to Black Rattle Life. In our earlier videos, we were talking about how long it takes to get things done. And in this video, we're going to start actually doing some physical work on the property. So we've had our landscape guy come out with his excavator, and he's looked around, gave us kind of a quote. We talked over some issues, what we were going to do with the property. And he came out and did the perk testing with the engineer so that we could get our septic permit. And once we have our septic permit and know where the septic is going to go on the property, then we've been able to go and get our development permit from our municipal government. And that gives us our basically our house location, our setbacks, how far we have to be from the property line, from the road, from the water, how far the well has to be from the septic, and the house has to be from both the well and the septic. So at this point, we've got it down on paper where the house is going to be, where the septic is going to be, and now we know what trees have to go. The only thing we haven't done so far is to get the power corporation to come in and to scope the lines to tell us where the power has to go. But we can get our driveway cut out and our house lot and our septic, and that's where we're going to go. So this all happened in probably middle of August. John told us that it was going to take him roughly 3 to 4 months to get there. He's got work booked enough, so we're going to be lucky to see him before the middle of December. So that gives us a little bit of time, but we also have a vacation coming up, so we're not going to be able to take all of the time, and I'm going to have surgery on my knee before we can get started on the house. So it puts us in a little bit of a quick thing. So we're going to be getting the house lot cleared as soon as possible. So that's the main gist of this video. Thanks. Before we get started, I'd like to make a disclaimer that I'm not a professional tree cutter. I'm not an arborist. I'm not a professional, and anything that I do is the way I would do it. It may not be the right way, and I know there's a lot of things that I do that are not the right way. Always wear your personal protective equipment. I don't always do it. I should always do it, but I don't. And it has come back to bite me. As you'll see, there's a ladder laying on the ground here. At one point, that was an articulated ladder that was standing straight up against a tree that was leaning towards the road that I was trying to hook a winch line to. The ladder broke in half. I fell to the ground, landed on my hip on a 6x6, and this could have ended our project right there. Always take care, always be careful, always learn from other people's mistakes before making your own. And if you're not comfortable with cutting trees, check out some other YouTube videos. There's people out there that are professionals at this, and they have a lot of lessons to teach you. I'm just showing you what I do, and it's probably not right, but we got the job done in the end. This is what the entry to our property originally looked like, something similar to this. This is a vacant property beside us. The road we drove in on. Now we have a driveway and some land clearing. It's a work in progress. There's always going to be work to do. You never finish with a home. We've got firewood split still, fencing to put around some of our gardens, and living in the woods, there's no real topsoil. So our gardens, we started with raised beds. We've got a few things growing now, a few bushes, got an apple tree and some grapevines and a lot of wood. In this video, we were cutting down a fairly large tree, and it was leaning the wrong way, so it wanted to fall back from the direction that I wanted it to go. But most of the leaves, or most of the branches, I should say, were on the side that I wanted it to fall, which is the weight of the tree. I'm not experienced enough to know whether the branches would overcome the lean, so I erred on the side of caution and put a chain around the tree, ran it through a snatch block to a come along, fastened to another tree, so that we could pre-tension the tree and give it some reason to fall where we wanted it to. Once we got it cut, then we pounded wedges in, and with the wedges and the tensioning in the lines, the tree fell exactly where we wanted it to fall. It was a large tree, about 70 feet tall. I had to hurry quick because I was only about 50 feet from the boundary line, so 20 feet of my tree ended up on my neighbor's property. It's a vacant lot, but I still had to get it cleaned up quick because you don't want to make a mess of your neighbor's property. Luckily, it didn't break any of the branches on their trees, so I got lucky, and we got the tree down. While we were in Alberta on vacation visiting our daughter, I got a phone call from John, our landscape or excavator guy, and he had a vacancy opened up for him, and he wanted to know if he could come in and put our septic in. We didn't need to be there for it. I always like to be there and watch because I figure if I'm paying it, I'd like to enjoy the show. This gave us an opportunity to do it. It was mid-September. Gladly said yes. Now, one of the things that we almost got caught on was that we hadn't taken our builder's insurance out, so I had to call from Alberta to our insurance agent to get them to start our builder's insurance before we put the first hole in the ground, or we would have been void on that. Sometimes I get a little help from Lucy. She likes to perch on my shoulder whenever I'm doing something, but it's my little flying bug-eyed monkey, always here to help me. When you're cutting your trees down, always have a look around to see if there's any dead or damaged trees that you can take down. You know, we like to try to keep as many trees as we could on the property because they do grow into each other and they support each other. As you open up a spot in the forest, it quite often makes a weakness in the wind. Like if a major storm starts, it can get into that opening, and the trees that get into that opening and the trees that we're used to having support from other trees and wind breaks find themselves weakened and they become uprooted. And quite often, you know, small opening or small clearing in a lot can take down a lot of trees. But sometimes you have to take a tree down, and we had one that was a fairly rotten tree that we couldn't take down, and it was on the boundary line. So I don't know if it's our neighbor's tree or our tree, or if it's an actual boundary tree which you're not allowed to cut down. So we had left it, and that ended up being close to where our car was parked, and in one of the windstorms the tree broke off and landed across the windshield of the car, causing, you know, several $1,000s worth of damage. So, you know, always have a look around to see if there's any damaged trees that you should take down, because once you have a house built and power lines in and infrastructure in place, it's much harder to get them down at that point.